Is the 2023 KTM 690 SMC R worth the upgrade? Stick around to find out. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to take a look at the new 2023 KTM 690 SMC R. That's a mouthful in itself, but I'm a little late to the game. They released it, I believe, November 2nd, but what I wanted to do is wait for a few people to kind of do some of their reviews on it, see what the new features are, and really kind of dive into the differences of this new bike, if there are any differences. So let's kind of get right into it. KTM's website here. I mean, overall, first impression, I really like the colors. I mean, I think it looks kind of similar to my bike now, minus the blue seat, which, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of another. But I think it looks good. I mean, right out of the box, you know, I'm impressed with it. I think that's a big change, and I think it's pretty good. You know, also when you look at the mirrors too, I mean, looks like they, you know, updated those, but I mean, we all know we're going to take those things off the second we get the bike. Same thing with that tail tidy. My goodness, that thing is huge. So already immediate upgrades that I'm looking at in my head to change the appearance. But yeah, I mean, those are the first two big changes that stand out to me. And you guys can have your own opinions on it. I like it. Leave it in the comments below what you think, and if I missed anything too throughout this video. So aside from graphics and mirrors, you know, what else really changed on this bike? Well, you know, as I've gone through and I've read everything, it seems like it's the same engine, the same transmission. I mean, what else? I mean, the same frame, the same suspension, the same brakes. They really didn't change anything in that sense that I've seen so far. I mean, you still get the quick shifter, you know, you still get a lot of the other features that I have in my 21. So I haven't seen any major engine or fundamental changes for this bike. I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping they would do something a little different because it's essentially stayed the same since 2020, or I should say 2019 on. So that would have been nice to see a little bit of a refresh there. But either way, as we move through, looking at, I think, one of the big changes that I found, but not really a change because KTM did their thing where they marketed it like a change, but in actuality, it's not, and I'll show you why. Is the ABS system. So they claim now with their Supermoto ABS, what you can do is limit the front wheel ABS and then completely removes the rear wheel ABS. Now, that's cool, that's great, that's a fun feature, it's probably perfect for the track, slides, burnouts, things like that, all things I can't do. But when you look back at the 2021 owner's manual and my bike, I already have a Supermoto ABS system built in. It was kind of called that, but not necessarily, where all you have to do is essentially put it into mode 2 or sport and then turn traction control off, and that's essentially your Supermoto ABS mode. You know, so it literally says here, sport and ABS mode, Supermoto are active. You know, the traction control is deactivated. So, I mean, that kind of gives me like hey, we already have the Supermoto ABS feature, but I don't know if they made it easier. Maybe it's a click of the button. Maybe it's something way simpler than what we have to do right now, which would be cool. You know, I've asked for that where, you know, can we just get one button that's like a track mode button where it turns anything and everything off, turns the mapping to the most aggressive, turns any traction and ABS completely off, and turns it into a traditional sort of machine. That would be cool, right? That'd be great, but I don't see that with this one here. The next thing that I noticed is they're claiming to have an RPM gauge. Now this came from, you know, another article that I read through, and they said now it features an RPM gauge on the dash. Now we all know how much that dash sucks, and I spent plenty of time fiddling around with mine, and going back to the 2021 owner's manual, if you look at a bunch of the dash settings, you will find that there is an RPM gauge. Now it's not what you think as far as an RPM gauge goes, if I can find it here, it's a bunch of essentially 8s that tick up. So 1 8 is 1,000 RPM, 2 8s is 3,000 RPM, and then it goes all the way up to 6 8s, which is 9,000 RPM. I went through on my bike and tried to click through according to the owner's manual to get to this RPM gauge to see if I could find it, and I couldn't find it. It didn't exist. It was not there. Why? I don't know. I was also missing a few things. Apparently, the 2021, according to the owner's manual, had a gear indicator. I would love that, to know if I'm in 2nd, 4th, 6th, whatever that may be. I mean, but I couldn't find it. I may be doing something wrong. I get it. But I couldn't find it there either. But again, according to the 2021 owner's manual, when you look at it, the dash seems a little bit different than what we actually got. So I think the pictures, really tell that tale there. But looking at the 21 owner's manual and seeing the new 2023 features that everybody's talking about, there's no difference. I mean, we should have that. If we don't, and KTM lied to us back then and are finally filling that promise with this new bike, then, good for you, but you should have done it back then. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, in that sense of where it stands. So, outside of that, that's truthfully the only differences that I found. So what really changed? Well, if we actually got an RPM gauge in 23, great. If I'm just doing it wrong in 21, then we'll have to figure that out. But graphics, mirrors, engine didn't change, trans, brakes, suspension. I mean, nothing else changed. Maybe some electronic updates, but they didn't update the dash, so it's the same damn thing that I got. So what's the point of this new bike? What's the difference? What makes this so much better? Or if they're not even claiming to be better, just a graphic refresh compared to the previous models? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me. So then I guess the question truthfully is, should you purchase a 2023 KTM 690 SMC R with the longest name in the world? Well, I would. I love my 21, and if there's not these major changes, you're going to get pretty much the same bike, and I love it. It's a great bike. But if you could find one, like a 22 or maybe even a 21, that's either new or used, highly doubt 21 new, but for a better deal, I mean, you're getting the same thing. I mean, graphics kits aren't that expensive. You can put a lot of effort into these bikes to make them look way cooler than KTM can ever do from the factory. So keep that in mind too. Like, you're always going to be changing things. I mean, if you want to leave it stock and you think it looks cool that way, by all means, leave it stock. But with some simple upgrades and some simple changes, you can transform these bikes into anything that you want. So, with that, I really don't have much more or any other opinions on the 23. I'd love to get out and ride it and see if there's any differences in that ABS, or if, there's an actual RPM gauge that works. But it's just a, new sticker pack. Great. Thanks, KTM. This is awesome. You just gave us nothing. So if I missed anything, if you noticed anything, or you know more than me on this topic, because I am not an expert, but I'm pretty well versed in the KTM 690 culture, let me know and put it in the comments below. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope it sparked some interest for maybe you to get out there and ride. Maybe not on a 690, but maybe hopefully you could get there one day, or that's your dream bike. I tell you what, it's now my dream bike after owning it for 2 years. It's been great. And will I upgrade to the 23? No. I won't upgrade until they make some significant changes to these bikes. And who knows what that could be. I mean, some people are talking parallel twins, some people are talking, differences within the suspension or the brakes or blah, blah, blah. Like, that would be the only time that I would upgrade. And if it's something small, like you update the front wave router, I'm just going to go buy a different wave router. Like, I don't need to buy a new bike for that. But either way, I digress. Note to KTM, if you're going to make changes or you're going to update models, do a little bit more, right? I get it. Like, it's ironed out as a great machine and it's an awesome platform. but there are some things that we complain about that need some attention. So just keep that in mind next time you go through the R&D of a new bike. So for that, I'll leave you guys with remember, keep riding.